So much just went down for me, the Apple Geek. So let's just jump right into it. Hello guys, how are you? David Franco here from thefrancouniversity.com. Check it out right below if you're interested in growing your own YouTube career, making a living, and doing something you enjoy. Because let's face it, life is too short to do things you don't enjoy. You can learn about YouTube, graphic design, web design, affiliate marketing, advertising, all that stuff. It's always linked right below. So anyway, Apple announced so much stuff this week, and I figured because it's so much content to go through, I'm going to split up the announcement into 3 or 4 videos. So let's get started. All right, so I think it's best to start out with this. Tim Cook took some time to dedicate the Steve Jobs Theater to Steve Jobs himself. Obviously, it makes sense because Steve Jobs quite literally changed the world. And if you disagree with that, I don't care. He did change the world. Sure, he didn't actually code the software and invent hardware or whatever, but he was an idea man. And without those ideas, products like the iPhone and the iPad likely would have never existed. So just something to keep in mind. And it was really nice to see that they took a few minutes, probably like 10 or 15 minutes or so, just to recognize Steve Jobs and what he has succeeded throughout his lifetime. So I thought that was a really, really classy move. And I'm looking forward to watching that again tonight when I watch the keynote for a second time, because as a content creator, it's really, really hard to focus on the keynotes, when you're tweeting and making notes and all that stuff. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's get into technology. Let's talk about the fun stuff. Let's focus on products that you will get in your hands within just days. So let's start out with the iPhone 8, and then I'll talk about the other products in future videos. And I promise those will be more straight into the point. Okay, so I do have my notes down here. I will be glancing down. I apologize, but I'm trying to get this content out as quick as possible. All right, so the iPhone 8 is official. The iPhone 7s is a product that will never, ever exist. And honestly, I'm really, really glad Apple went this route, because if you look at something like the Samsung Galaxy S8 and the Samsung Galaxy Note 8, to the average user, if they compared that to the 7s, from a marketing perspective, it doesn't make sense, because the 7s, to people not like you and myself, because let's face it, we're technology geeks, I'm a proud tech geek, I just live on this stuff, they don't know that 7s is technically as good or better when compared to something like the Galaxy S8 or Galaxy Note 8. So yeah, I mean, I'm really glad Apple went with the iPhone 8 naming scheme. It just makes sense. So anyway, it's going to be available in silver, space gray, and gold. And the home button is there. So if you need Touch ID and you need a physical home button, even though it's not physical because it uses the Taptic engine, which I'm a huge fan of, even though I broke mine, sad face, then get the iPhone 8. I mean, if you're afraid of change, the iPhone 10, which I'll talk about soon, is not for you. So yeah, I mean, it's really nice to see that Apple still went the traditional route for users who don't need an overly fancy and overly expensive phone. The iPhone 8 and the iPhone 8 Plus will be more than enough for the average user. So the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus both use a brand new chip called the A11 Bionic. Ain't that fancy. And it's a 6-core CPU. And the more cores, the better, right? It has a True Tone display, which I'm a huge fan of on my iPad Pro. The True Tone is just something you need to experience yourself to appreciate it. And of course, Apple updated the 12 megapixel cameras, which in turn bring you better low noise performance. Okay, so we have a new camera mode called portrait lighting. Think portrait mode, but portrait lighting. I'm not sure exactly how it works. I'm just going by what I saw in the keynote. Basically, it creates a depth map, and it separates the subject from the background and focuses the light on the primary subject in the foreground, and it kind of tricks your phone into making a photo that looks like it was shot with professional studio lighting. That's a horrible way of explaining it, and of course I will get to know more myself when I get my hands on the iPhone 10. I'm not getting the 8. It doesn't make sense to get the 8. I'm not gonna waste my money on that when I can get something bigger and better. But get this, the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus both record 4K video at 60 frames per second. Now the 7 and 7 Plus already do 4K video, but it caps out at 30 frames. So as a video content creator, I can say this with confidence. Going from 30 frames to 60 frames is a huge upgrade. And I'm really, really glad to say that it's not exclusive to the iPhone 10. But of course, you can record video in 1080p resolution, but this time at 240 frames per second. not bad. Wireless charging is finally a thing. I've never used a wireless charger. I haven't. I mean, the Apple Watch is kind of wireless because you kind of sit it on the base, but still, you have to align it. But with the iPhone 8, 8 Plus, and the iPhone 10, you can just, boom, drop it onto any Qi-supported wireless base. Now, of course, there is a wire. You have to power the base, which is why I've always kind of laughed at the wireless charging thing, because it's not truly wireless, but it does save you the frustration of having to plug in a cable directly into your device every night like I do. But get this, the iPhone is going to use Qi wireless, you know, QI, Qi, and that's a standard. Now, Apple could have easily created their own charging standard and, you know, made some money off that, but they didn't. So the fact that they're following with the Qi wireless standards, that's a huge deal in itself. So props to Apple for not being greedy in that regard. I say in that regard because, let's face it, they're a business. They're in business to make money. But still, they went with Qi, and I think that's really cool. And I cannot wait to use that myself. And actually, my dad's GMC truck has wireless charging built into the middle console. So in theory, if he gets the iPhone 8 or the iPhone 8 Plus, he could just drop it down in his truck and it starts charging. How cool is that? Alright, so wrapping up this video, the iPhone 8 will be available in 64 gigs and 256 gigs for storage options, and it starts at $699. And then the iPhone 8 Plus, same exact storage, 64 gigs and 256 gigs, starting out at $799. Pre-orders start this Friday, September 15th, you know, as I predicted in my previous video, but that's not that hard to predict. And it goes on sale next Friday, September 22nd. Just want to confirm that. Yep, so pre-order this Friday, available next Friday for both the iPhone 8 and iPhone 8 Plus. Okay, that's it. That's it for this video. What are your thoughts on the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus? Let me know right below, and I'll see you in my next video, which is all about the iPhone 10. Not the iPhone X. I'll rant about that in my next video.